Our team at Atlantic Construction Podcast is excited to announce our newest partner, Luminous Labs. Luminous Labs is the leading provider of architectural visualizations for developers, homeowners, architects, and more. Luminous Labs has a team of experienced designers and visualizers using cutting-edge technology to bring your 3D renderings to life. Using these architectural visualizations will give you a sense of scale, space, and design, allowing you to make informed decisions about your projects before construction even begins. These high-end architectural visualizations are a perfect tool for presentations, marketing materials, and design reviews, allowing you to communicate your vision to stakeholders, clients, and more. This episode is brought to you by our presenting sponsor, Pizant Building Products. Pizant Building Products has been providing contractors and builders with the supplies necessary to complete their jobs since 1964. They have built a reputation of honest, helpful, and quality service, serving the HRM for the last 58 years, now with 7 locations in Nova Scotia and 1 in New Brunswick. Our team at Atlantic Construction Podcast is extremely excited to announce our new co-branded partner, Procore. Procore is the global leader in construction management software. We'll be conducting several podcast episodes with Procore users and construction companies across the country in 2023, among many other things. Stay tuned. We're excited. Okay, welcome back to the Atlantic Construction Podcast. Pleased to have our guest with us today, Bertin Rioux. So that's Bertin Rioux. We have him tuning in from Grand Falls, New Brunswick, on behalf of Clyvanor, manufacturer of wood truss and beam of wood structural components, and around since 1977. So a very common name with their headquarters in Quebec. And Bert's tuning in from New Brunswick. So thank you. Thanks for being with us today, Mr. Bertin Rioux.
It's my pleasure, Dan.
We were chatting before the show, or before we went live here, just about our mutual love for music, and finding out you're a musician. And tell us a little bit about how those skills and being a musician all these years. You said you're a drummer, play some guitar. How those skills carry over for business development and sales. I think that's an interesting connection there. Maybe we could chat about that. Give us your thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, absolutely, man. Well, a lot of that's a question I get asked a lot. Why are you so good in sales? And I just tell people I'm not really good in sales. I'm just good at relationships. I'm good at talking to people. I like meeting people. I'm interested in meeting people. And being a musician, I mean, that's what we do on a nightly basis. You're out playing bars. You're out playing the clubs. You meet people. You get to talk to them, and you meet a lot of interesting people. In that business, in both businesses, like in the structural business as well. Meet a lot of nice people, and it's just a matter of getting to know them, talking to them. And in the business world, what we do is we're problem solvers. That's what we do as a structural company. So that's how I get to talk to talk to people and just let them know, what can I do to help you? What's your biggest pain right now? And I try to see what that pain is, and try to fit how we can fix that pain for them, and hopefully do some business. It's the same thing as in the music world. It's like people, especially after COVID, everybody was locked down for a couple of years. It was crazy. We all had cabin fever being musicians, not being able to play. We were doing live Facebook feeds and stuff like that, just to try and get people to give people some fun, some semblance of normality. And being back now for a little over a year, playing a lot of people just come at us and say, hey, thanks a lot for sharing that. Thanks a lot for sharing your tunes. We as musicians, you write songs, you put them out there, and Lord knows you don't make any money at it. You don't do it for money.
Someone told me a long time ago, how do you make $1 million as a musician? Well, you start out with 2 million.
That's pretty much it. So you do it for pure passion, and the passion obviously is the music, but why do you play music? It's to move people. It's to inspire people. That's how, that's why I do it anyways. Maybe some other people do it for another reason, but like we were saying, you don't do it for money. You do it because you love it. You love practicing. You love just putting stuff out there. And it converges, just like I said, into the business world, pretty much in the same thing, because that passion for people, if you have that passion for people in the business world, it really serves you as a salesman, as an employee, as whatever you do in the company.
Sure. Yeah, no, I really appreciate everything that you just said, Bert. I think something about being a musician, they call it music, the universal language. It brings people together. So like musicians kind of want a natural desire to bring people together, which is very similar as well in business development. You're kind of putting yourself on display in the spotlight, right? And everybody's there and they're kind of feeding off the energy. Sales can be like that too. You got to put yourself out there. You got to put yourself kind of almost on display in the spotlight a little bit, and have yourself heard and have your voice heard and talk. But then you got to be focused too, as a drummer, as you know, like you're carrying they're carrying the melody. You got to be zoned in. But when you're in the rhythm, it can be a lot of fun and people are connecting. So it's like a lot of similarities there. Like trying to think of a better word to articulate it. But does that make sense what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely. You know what the word is, and I love this word. It's a word now that's come out in the last couple of years, but it's in the flow. You
Yeah,
get
that's
that
it.
flow. You get that flow, and you're right.
Psychological term. Yeah.
Yeah. It really is. And like, speaking of the zone, I remember back in the day, I was a huge Chicago Bull Michael Jordan fan, and when he got into that zone, I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel, when I get into when we play music, and you don't see the time, all of a sudden the gig's gone, and you're saying, "Geez, what happened? This was great."
Yeah.
Same thing in a sales. In a sales environment, when you're pitching something, when you're responding to questions, and in sales, that's the fun thing about sales. I mean, business development, yeah, it's business. But like I said, to find out what the biggest pains are for your potential customers, you got to touch a little bit of everything, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because a lot of our customers we do most of our business is B2B. So I mean, these guys are buying truss packages, walls, floor truss, on a daily basis. So obviously, and a lot of these guys are 1, 2, 3 men operations, so they're doing the
Right.
sales, the service after the sales, they're doing the contracting, they're doing the project management, they're doing everything. So by touching base with these people, finding out what their biggest pains are, automatically you start to get to know them on a personal level.
Sure.
And theoretically, you should not make friends from your customers, or the great business people would say, but I think you do automatically, just because you get to know these people. They get to ask you questions, and you get some sort of rapport with them, just like you and I did. You talk music, and all of a sudden we got two cheeses going on our faces, and it's like, hey, we know. So it's the same thing. It's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Once you get into that flow, man, it's absolutely great.
Absolutely, man. I couldn't agree more. I think we're in the zone here now, so we're feeling the flow here. And so, tell us a little bit more about yourself, Bert. I mean, you've been since 2018 with Clyvanor, lots of sales background. I think you have some education in the forestry sector, which can't hurt in your current position. Maybe just a little bit about your journey on the business side.
Sure. Well, you know what? Yeah, I actually, when I came out of school, I came out of high school in the late '80s, and back then it was a different world, compared to what it is now. You were looking for a one career path, and you figured that you'd do that career path, and that would take you to retirement, and you'd get the pension, and then. But the world's changed a lot, and so when I came out, I was a musician back then. I was actually started playing clubs back in the mid to late '80s. And when I got out of high school, I had just met my wife, who was the singer in the band. And so I didn't want to go out and do the 4 or 5 year university thing, go down to Fredericton or Moncton or whatever. So I wanted to do something that I'd be around here locally. So, and I always liked going out in the woods, just a nature guy. I was a sports guy. I love the nature. So I decided I'd go take a forestry course. So I did that. And actually, when I got out of there, I was hired by the forest rangers in northern New Brunswick to do some thinning and surveying. So I was sitting on a log having my lunch one day, and I sort of realized I was talking to myself. I said, I scratched my head, and I had a full head of hair back then. And I scratched my hair, and I said, "Oh my God!" I said, "I don't think I'm going to be able to do this for forever."
The
So I sort of
squirrels were getting to you.
yeah. It was crazy. It was crazy. So I just said, okay, so what am I going to do? So I sort of took an inventory, sitting right there with my sandwich in hand. And I said, what are you good at? And I said, not much. I'm a people person and I like music. So how can I do something? And right then and there, I decided that I was going to jump in sales. So I went in sales, started with Pepsi Canada. Then I went into the garage door business. Then I went into the car sales. And back in 2001, I got into the modular construction, recruited by a company in Quebec. So I moved from New Brunswick to Quebec, and I was there for 22 years. I actually owned a modular manufacturing plant for a little over 10 years. Had a lot of experience, doing the U.S. market, doing.
So were you somewhat of an early adopter then at that time in the modular space, or it seemed to be maybe around that time where it kind of started to evolve? No.
Yeah, well, I mean, I always believed in modular. I've got, I figure if you're getting something done in factory by people who are doing that same thing on a day in, day out sort of thing, I sort of figure that it's probably going to be a great product normally. That said, doesn't mean that being on site construction is not good. You've got great contractors, you've got great builders, and a majority of my business now is people who build on site. That's what we do. But yeah, I mean, as far as early adoption is in the modular business, what we did, when I was hired there, I was hired specifically to develop the U.S. market, which was a very higher end sort of custom housing, and that was our niche product. And the reason that they came and got me, well, obviously in Quebec, there's not that many people who speak English, but we had a great company with a technical knowledge, bar none, second to none. And so we developed that, and I was there. I absolutely loved what I did, and got pretty good at it, to the point where they said, "Hey, we want to bring you on as far as ownership." And one thing led to another, and in 2007, I ended up buying the company. Mm-hmm. And I was there till I sold it I bought in 2005, but 2007 I became sole owner, and ran into a little issue back in 2013, 2012, 2013, and decided to sell the company to a group out of Quebec, which is the biggest manufacturing group out of Quebec. Stayed on with them for 4 years. And in 2018, I did the move to go to Clyvanor and learn the other side of the business, which is the structural side, the component side, which I've been doing now, and it's great. I've met a lot of people. It's opened up a lot of knowledge for me that I didn't have just doing the modular business, and got me to meet a lot of people and a lot of builders who I wasn't selling to before. I was selling to promoters and whatnot, but never builders. So now for the last 5 years, I've been dealing with builders directly, which is a completely different world, and learning to what their pains are, what gains we can help them have. And so yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing.
Yeah, no, thanks. That's quite it's hard to sum all that up in a few minutes, Bert, but you did a good job there. So when it comes to Clyvanor, you've got kind of three different tiers that with your wood truss, roof truss, open web joists, and then wall paneling, modular panels. And when it comes to like commercial and residential, you're definitely into both there, multi-residential, multi-unit, industrial, or not industrial, but schools and institutional jobs as well. The focus for Clyvanor, based in Quebec, lots of stuff south of the border in the northern states, and you're located in New Brunswick, but you're handling a lot of clients, not necessarily within Atlantic Canada, but sort of, Quebec and then northern states, right? Is that correct?
Exactly, and we touch a little bit on the Ontario side of it as well. And yeah, you're right. You did a good job doing your research, because yeah, we do have, all we do as floor joist is an open web wood joist, and we do the wall panels and the customized roof trusses. And we do, our business is, there's no, it from year to year it changes. Some, like this year residential is down pretty much everywhere, so it's a lot more focused on the commercial multi-units, stuff like that. A lot of renovations, bigger projects and whatnot. And like I was saying, we do have a modular division in our group that does hotels, motels, multi-unit stuff. So that's pretty much what we've been doing. It's, I'll be honest, it's a lot harder. We sort of, I wouldn't say got spoiled, but during the COVID period, everybody was just running after their own tail. There was just too much work, just not enough people to be able to do the work. And the price of materials were stupidly stupid, just changing on a weekly basis. So it was on a sales, part of it, it was extremely difficult not getting the jobs, just keeping the jobs, because everything was just changing so fast. Now it's like sort of like a return back to the pre-COVID normal, where we actually have to work to get the sales in now. We have to follow up. That's
Right.
something we haven't done in 30 months. So
Right.
it's
It
like we've got
sucks.
to, yeah, it
That
sucks.
sucks, man.
Yeah, it sucks because it's just not coming in like it used to. But you know what? That's what we do. I mean, sales is sales, and you adjust to what the market is. The market changes. Unfortunately, it's not like I tell my mom, uh, who's not that old. She just turned 72, but she's always questioning me. Well, how's business, and how's this and how's that, and how come it's not as busy as it was last year? Or how come it's busier? I said, Mom, we don't sell sliced bread. We can't forecast like
Yeah.
sliced bread.
Yeah.
It's not the food business. So, if the economy is struggling, people don't build. I mean, they hold off. They wait till it picks up. If interest rates are high, people are a little bit more hesitant. So we have to work. We have to double down as salespeople extremely hard to get those jobs in, and follow up, follow through, answer questions. It's just a lot more legwork than it has been in the last couple of years, but it's a
Sure.
return to normal. That's what it was beforehand.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I'd like to take a deeper dive into some of those points you just made, but maybe for context for our listeners. So you have a plant, Clyvanor has a plant in Massachusetts, a plant in Quebec. So just as a 30,000 foot view of kind of the company, the operation. So I'm assuming, several employees at these plants with the assembly line and manufacturing, trusses and joists and modular wall panel systems. Maybe just kind of give us an overall view of like what the company looks like operationally. Is there
Yeah.
how big are these plants and that
All
kind
right.
of thing?
All right. Well, I mean, the group together employs about 250 people. Our plant in Massachusetts is a relatively small plant compared to like what we see. Everything is bigger and better in the States or in
Yeah,
Texas, as we say.
yeah,
So compared to the multinationals, we're not that big. We do about, we've got a capacity of about $10 million of sales in that area. It's a great little factory, great people. We're about 30 minutes from Springfield, Massachusetts. It's a great little company, great people,
hmm,
uh, people who are just completely dedicated. In St. George, we have a bigger plant. We have a capacity there, of about, well, depending on the price, and COVID numbers were crazy high, but like in normal, about $16 million. So maybe a little under twice the size of what we have in Palmer. And then in our modular factory, well, then that the capacity sky's the limit on that.
hmm.
So we have, operations wise. we have our design teams that we have some that are based in the plants. We have some that are work from home. We even have worked with people out of Vietnam right now, designers, because
Right, outsourcing. Yeah.
yeah, outsourcing, because in this business, the design is crucial, and it's getting harder and harder to find people that are willing to do that work. So you have to find other solutions.
And so do you have a lot of CNC elements with your integrated with your design, or is it mostly people assembling in the warehouse in the plant?
Oh no, we have man, we have a fully automated. We're the only plant in North America. The owner Stefan, he's an engineer, and he's a pretty creative guy, pretty innovative guy. And we're the only truss manufacturer in North America that has a fully automated roof truss line. I mean, it's fully robotics. So
I'd like to go down and see your plant. That'd be pretty cool, I bet.
yeah, no, it's actually super cool. So yeah, I mean, it's still, because as far as the rest of the stuff goes, it's still a lot of manual. Obviously, you have like the
Yeah.
CNC and the lasers and whatnot, but it's still a manual world. But Stefan is working on that. We're working on doing a fully automated wall line, fully automated floor truss line, but that's going to be down down the line. But we do have right now that fully automated truss line, which is super cool. And so we have, like I said, we have those people designing. Obviously, we have the workers in the factories. The salespeople are outside on the road, and we have the management committees that are centrally based. That we have an operations manager for all three. I do the sales for all three. We have the head of design for all three, HR for all three. So you get to optimize a little bit,
Yeah.
rather than have each individual.
Sure.
Yeah, so you get to optimize that.
And really integrated, backward integrated into, your full supply chain, logistics, and your own fleet for delivery. So it's a pretty turnkey experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we even do, like in our modular manufacturing. Typically, in modular manufacturers, we build. I said we build. They build their own walls. They'll build their own floors. What we do is we send a kit, and it's sort of like an IKEA kit. So
Yeah.
that we build at Clyvanor, we send to our modular plant, and that plant is purely an assembly plant. So there's no actual building of components there. So once it gets online, the boxes start taking shape. So it's pretty cool that way.
Yeah. I'm no expert, but I would assume, with such a complex modular kind of offering, it'd be really hard to not offer the further service of, assembling it into a kit in certain parts and pieces, onto a truck that has a crane element to the truck, off to the site, or maybe, one or two points of contact or changes, and then have it go to the site and be handled properly. I'm assuming that that's kind of a needed or a necessity. Maybe not every company has that, but I'm assuming it is.
Absolutely, and it's again, that's something that we're pretty much every company is having issues right now as well as getting truck drivers, not only in the construction world, just
Yeah.
getting
So,
drivers.
hey, we're back to the labor shortage, which is something that we talk to every guest about, whether they're a supplier, whether it's truckers, whether it's accountants or architects or blue collar workers on the site and carpenters and any number of the trades. Labor shortage is hurting everybody.
It is. Uh, Although, you know what, and I think this is just a blip, but since this year, it is a little bit better. But I mean, we have workers from Mexico. We have workers from Colombia that come in and work for us, and we have to go, to international
Yeah.
to be able to do that. But like as far as the delivery guys and the truckers, running the cranes and whatnot, well, we have to be creative. That's how we did it. But now we're having, contractors are getting a lot of equipment on site. They're getting their own lifts. They will often use cranes to get it off our trucks because we have to outsource some of that delivery as well.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
again, part of the adapting process that we have to do in this business.
Oh, great. That's a great explanation. So back to what you were saying earlier with prices during COVID, obviously a big thing was, the price of lumber was 4 times as high and you're ordering sheets of plywood that'd be $1 a square foot. Now they're $4 and, just a lot of softwood lumber costs and the same thing with hardwood. But for your materials coming from, the mill into your shop where they then enters the assembly line, what kind of species of wood usually are you using for a lot of these wood products? Hemlock, redwood, Douglas fir, pine, and so those, would it be the same case with the structural wood element side of things throughout the last few years with the jump and fluctuations in prices with those species of wood as it was just for typical plywood and lumber, right?
It was exactly that. Honestly, man, that's what, the business side, the sales side was great, but that whole supply chain side was a nightmare. Prices were changing,
Is that why your hair's gone?
Yeah, it's gone. It's gone. The little bit that I
Comic
have.
relief. Sorry about that.
Oh, yeah, no. It's definitely what killed me. But yeah, no, the supply side was just nuts. Prices were just crazy, and there was a lot of speculation going on. Yeah, and like you said, like the MSR wood, plywood, just regular lumber was absolutely nuts when you could get it. A lot of the times you couldn't get it. Engineered lumber was a nightmare. I mean, in our business, if you don't have any LVLs, you're not building. You know what I mean? You're not building.
Yeah.
And it was a nightmare. You couldn't deliver product because they had no LVLs. And it's just there's so many horror stories. One just really just leaps out at me. We had ordered in for our modular business Broxel uh, uh, insulation, and we were doing a big project for Hydro Quebec. We had the gun to our heads, like everybody else does when on those public jobs, big company jobs. And we were starting to build that Monday, and we get a call from the sales rep, and that order had been confirmed. This, I don't know, April. It's pretty much a year. It was like early May. The order had been confirmed in January. It was going to be delivered that following Monday. The Thursday, we get a call from our rep saying, "Hey guys, I'm sorry, but we're not going to be able to deliver that. We don't have the capacity to produce it, and the plant is shut down. We won't have any capacity for the rest of the year." This is 3 days before we start building, man. This was absolutely nuts. I mean, and of course, Hydro Quebec did not, because it's going up north and they have bad experience.
Sure.
Quick shout out to the newest sponsor of the show, the Stone Depot. The Stone Depot is located in Bears Lake, Halifax, but serves all of the East Coast. The showroom over 8,000 square feet, perfect for masonry contractors, landscaping contractors, builders, developers. Regardless, the Stone Depot is a great option for you, whether you're doing fire pits, patio stones, kitchen and interior stones. So if you're looking for a great stone supplier, visit the Stone Depot. This episode is brought to you by Airtight Spaces. Airtight Spaces is Atlantic Canada's first authorized aero barrier dealer. They help create comfortable, healthy, and durable living environments with the added benefit of energy efficiency. Air sealing is a critical step towards net zero buildings. Using air pressure to automatically guide sealing guarantees the highest quality results in the least amount of time with the least amount of effort. If air sealing is important to you, you can visit Airtight Spaces at www.airtightspaces.com. Pivot Bookkeeping is your one-stop shop and customizable bookkeeping, tax, and filing service. With Pivot, you have the peace of mind knowing your taxes are always filed on time and your bookkeeping is reconciled often. Using their non-proprietary software and applications, all of your business finances are securely handled by their local account managers. Pivot takes great pride in providing you with unlimited support and a direct line to your account managers right here in Nova Scotia. Whether you're an established business looking for new options and increase efficiency, or a newer company looking to build a solid foundation for future growth, Pivot has a product that can be modified to your needs. Consider making the pivot today. Book a free consultation at pivotbookkeeping.com.
They completely understood, I'm assuming.
We went all through Quebec. We bought, and this is not an efficient process. We were buying from all the
right off the shelf,
whatever we could get. A bag here, 10 bags there. to be able to get that. So that one screams at me, but that's what happened. A lot of people were just canceling last minute. There was no, at that point, there was no, how should I say, what's the word I'm looking for? Loyalty, you know? If you pay, if somebody was going to pay higher, and if they had the product, it would go to the highest bidder. So it was a crazy time. And for us in sales, it was crazy because we'd work to sell the job, then we'd have to sell the job again because the prices went up before it went into production, and then we'd have to sell the job again in the sense because once it got delivered, and well, the PO said it was $10,000, but you invoiced me 17. Well, yeah. If you remember, we had, so it was just crazy time.
Yeah,
crazy.
well, yeah, and you talked about relationships earlier and how, you know, you're in business development or sales, and that's really all about relationships. I think, you know, you can almost relate it to your friends or your kind of micro nucleus of people around you, whether it's your spouse or your partner or your friends and colleagues. You find out who people are when you go through a crisis, right? So same thing with your business associates, and you might think, hey, somebody, this is a long term, we're good, but you really find out who people are through a crisis, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And you know what, to everybody's defense on that, because we, you know, as a manufacturer, we messed up some orders, we messed up some jobs.
For sure.
You know, as everybody did. But in everybody's defense, everybody was so busy. Everybody was trying to get water pressure that should take a 6-inch pipe to get through into a 3-inch pipe. I mean, so everybody was just crazy busy, trying to help as many people as you could. And you know, financially speaking, I think they were good years for most people. But as far as pure business and relationship wise, not the best.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good point. And well, we're still here. We're still trucking.
That's right. We're still trucking. we're working our behinds off.
The show goes on, Bert.
Yeah, the show must go on, as Freddie said.
What I had something else I wanted to touch on in the back of my mind. As far as like you know, obviously people are going to be used to seeing a lot of these elements, you know, open web joist, roof trusses for residential, and certainly here in Atlantic Canada, you know, Prince Edward Island, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, you're going to see a lot of multi-res buildings that are wood structural elements, and that's pretty. I'm not sure when it comes to Central Canada, Ontario, Quebec, northern states, south of the border, you know, what the typical kind of engineering trends are for design, you know, building codes and things like that. But when it comes to commercial, like, what are you seeing for, like, I mean, especially with, you know, with your plant at Clyvanor and the, you know, the unique scenario, the like, you know, you can easily have an 80-foot long truss or beam, you know, for if it's some kind of a warehouse or a barn style building. So commercial is a big part of what you guys are doing, right? That's a big revenue stream, commercial construction. So just tell us a little bit about, like, you know, some of the types of buildings that you're doing other than multi-res, because I'm sure there's lots of those. And then what are some barriers? Like, you know, why can't this certain type of building be considered to be as opposed to structural steel or a Butler style building with other products, other structural products than engineered wood solutions? Because there's different variables, right? There's pricing, there's timing, there's supply. It's kind of long-winded, but
yeah, absolutely. No, and it's a very good point. And you know, as with the markets being the way they are, and you know, land becoming a super premium now, the trend is to build upwards. And when we say like upwards, like in rural areas, it's not too bad. But when you're like if you're in Montreal, you're in Boston, you're
building towers.
Yeah, I mean, you're building 6, 7, 8 stories. So what we could do, you know, as far right now with the engineered lumber, you can do up to 6-story buildings, which is pretty cool, because not too long ago it was only 3. Mm-hmm. So that opens up a lot. We do a lot of hybrid projects where, you know, the first floor are steel, you know, steel or concrete, and then we build up up above there. So
Why would that? What? When I've seen those too, and before a building's closed in, what's the typical reason for that? Like, why would an engineer change material base for the structural? Do you have any kind of intuition on that? No, it's not like expecting that you're an expert on that side of things, but why do you see those in mesh, like structural steel and wood on some designs? I guess
well,
it's
I think you hit it the nail on the head. It's a matter of cost, right?
yeah,
So that nowadays with the pricing being what it is, and the availability of the different products that are out there, people are a lot more sensitive to the pricing, and with the interest rates being what they are, I mean, man, we haven't seen this in a long time to
yeah,
be on. So a lot of what's driving that is the cost. So engineers are becoming much more aware, much more price sensitive. So it used to be it's just we do it in steel. Nah, we don't care. But for
right.
20 years, past 20 years or so, the wood industry has really promoted a lot of what they're doing. The green building issue, the ecological side of it, and so they really promoted that a lot, so that I think had the effect of people are all of a sudden now willing to scratch their head a little bit more and say, okay, let's just work at this and see if we can't
Sure.
do this as a hybrid project. And what there we were saying, they like LVL, laminated lumber, engineered lumber. A lot of that stuff is getting more and more prevalent in the business in the building process.
Mhm.
So like Nordic lam and stuff like that. So that allows a lot more structural, um, how should I say, weight transfers, which in
Yeah,
turn allows you to
right.
build it higher. And so
So
it's
when
just
when you say LVL, are we getting into the space of mass timber, or is that kind of a different arena? Like whenever we get a lot, like, yes, I know mass timber, when you use that term, it's structural wood elements, but there's also like an aesthetic value, with the beams and open and like, is that qualify under the term mass timber?
yeah. Well, yes and no. The mass timber typically is like will be an apparent. It'll
Yeah,
stay.
yeah,
It'll be part of the part of the design, and
exactly. Yeah,
which is super cool. I
it
personally,
is
yeah,
absolutely.
I
Yeah,
personally love it. I mean, it's absolutely marvelous. In what we do typically, it's encased. It's in the walls.
yeah.
We
It's strictly structural. There's no,
it's
yeah.
purely
The architects don't care that much. It's
no,
closed in, so yeah.
no, not when it comes to that.
Okay. Yeah. So back to as far as you mentioned, there was a project, in New Brunswick. I think you said a casino in Edmonton where you supplied. Was that kind of joist, roof truss, and modular? What was that? What was
It
that
was
project?
yeah,
When was it?
that one was a hybrid project because the
Okay.
first one was built on site with wall panels, and that was done there. And then we did the modulars for second, third, fourth floor, which was sort of like a Lego box. The crane would just pop and drop them, and a couple 3 4 days later the hotel's up, and it's like a big show. Everybody's like, wow.
Okay, so that's a casino hotel in Edmonton. My blackjack days are over. What's the name of the casino?
Yeah, it's the Gray Rock. Gray
Okay, the Grey Rock.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a very, I mean, the casino itself is very, very nice. And it's got some of that, that
Sure.
wood feel to it. And, but the hotel was, it was a project. And that was done during the COVID, during just pre-COVID, that we finished building. And we installed it during COVID. That was a whole other issue trying to get across the New Brunswick border from
Yeah.
Quebec to get your workers in there.
Yeah, I bet. I bet.
That was another struggle from the beautiful.
So do you have any intuition for when it comes to Clyvanor and the raw materials they're taking in, and where those wood species are coming from? Like if it might be the boreal forest. I mean, this might seem like a kind of a crazy question, but with your background in forestry, and just your kind of journey throughout the different parts of wood construction. Is a lot of your raw materials come from the same place, even knowing like what forest area they come from, or can you speak on that at all?
Well, I mean, you know, I wouldn't say 100%, but a large part comes from our forests in Quebec. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
you know, when back in 2006, I was the first manufacturer at our modular plant that we did a LEED certified building. So picture this: we had to get our FSC lumber,
Yep.
which you needed to get that
Yep.
accreditation. We had to get it from BC. So it was shipped on a train from BC to Quebec, and then we assembled it, and then shipped it down to Boston. So it wasn't really that ecological or environmental.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just your carbon footprint to get it to
Yeah,
Quebec.
but yeah, it was nuts. But you know, nowadays, pretty much every lumber mill and whatnot, they give you that certification. And you know, as you know, in Canada, we have a lot of lumber. In Quebec, we have a heck of a lot of lumber, and so most of the stuff comes from from us.
Mhm.
We
Well,
we
that's a nice touch, right? I mean, it's local
Yeah,
product. It's local
yeah,
right down to the back end. Yeah.
exactly.
So do you see, as far as the what happens in the States, are you kind of involved with clients south of the border too, or do you stick to central Canada and then when things come up throughout Atlantic Canada, obviously you're
Yeah, no. I'm very hands on in the south of the border as well.
so you're getting down you're getting down for some Bruins games.
Yeah, well,
Not this year, but
not anymore. No.
not anymore. Not after last night. And I'm a Leafs fan, so I'm happy to see Florida take that one. I
You
did
must
not
have
want
been
to see them
clapping.
play the Bruins again. I
Oh
was.
yeah, you must have been
Yeah.
clapping.
So
Oh,
I strike a nerve there. Are you a Bruins fan or are you
oh no. Hey,
oh,
I this year I can proudly say I'm an Oilers fan. This year
yeah,
I can.
and they're
I've been
looking
an
good.
Oilers fan ever since they came into the league. I remember being a young guy, seeing this number 99. What an odd number to come out. And I was an
Yeah.
Oilers fan throughout,
Okay.
forever.
My dad lived out there in the era of Gretzky and Messier and Coffee and all those guys, and he had season tickets one year.
That
So
was great. That was just absolutely great hockey. But yeah, no, I mean we do have I'm direct. Our business down there in the States is a little bit different because our 100% of our business is lumber yards. We don't sell directly to the builder, so
okay.
the lumber yards, which is sort of a little different model than what we do have up here in Canada. But yeah, so we get a lot of feel for what's going on from our customers because they're lumber yards. I mean, obviously they sell lumber, but they sell the materials, windows, doors, trim, moldings,
Yeah,
siding.
yeah. Right.
So we know what's going on. We get a lot of feedback from them. So when they are slowing down on the rest of their business, we know that there's a slowdown coming for us as well.
Right. Right.
So that's sort of like we can get a feel for it from that.
Can you take us through like onboarding, say, a new client, whether it's someone in New Brunswick or Atlantic Canada or Ontario, Quebec, it's a contractor, they get a PO for a large project, part of their scope to, all the framing, joist beam, maybe there's some modular stuff too. So are they giving you guys a call prior to the closing date if it's a tender on a commercial job? If it's residential, are they, when they're ready to build, they're calling you in advance saying, hey, we're going to need this stuff on site in a few months. What's the turnaround that it goes into your system at the plants, design phase, manufacturing, ready to go, put on the trucks out to site, just kind of like a typical when a client comes to you with a project comes to fruition.
Yeah, well, I mean, it depends on the size and scope of the project.
Sure.
Obviously,
Yeah.
just building a garage, it's not quite the same. But like if you're talking like larger projects,
Yeah.
more often than not, if you're bidding on public projects, that the builder, that's one thing. But for like developers, promoters, or whatever, they'll give us a call and they'll say, hey, we have a project coming out in 6 months. This 24 unit building, we'd like a
Yeah.
price. we do the bid, we do the quotes, we look at the
Yeah.
plans. Obviously, we want to have as complete plans as possible, but you'd be surprised because a lot of them don't have a full set of plans by when they ask for bids, because they just want a budgetary pricing when they want to know, is it feasible? Can we do?
You'd be lucky if it's 75% complete.
Yeah, that's right. You're lucky. Very
Yeah.
lucky. Yeah. So we do the bid, and then once we present the bid, then obviously we're not the only bidders. So then, and that's the thing about this industry, is that nobody presents their bids the same way.
Mhm.
Nobody builds the exact same process. So everybody's got their own little tweaks and stuff that their own methods
Absolutely. Yeah.
it's not like buying a Ford F-150 XLT, with a certain package and bright red. And
Yeah.
you can buy that in Ottawa, you can buy that in Halifax, you can buy that in Fredericton, and it's the exact same truck.
Yeah.
Then the pricing becomes an issue, because you can get it cheaper in Fredericton, or maybe cheaper, but then service, it's a whole other game. But in our business, there are no two companies present themselves. So there's always some haggling. This is not clear. Can you do this? So once the job is, okay, hey, we like you, you seem to respond well to us. I think that we have confidence that we can build with you guys. Then we sign. They give us a PO. Once the PO, we place the order in the system. Then and we work by request dates. So when do you think your first delivery is going to be? Well, it's going to be September 1st. So we work backwards. We reverse engineer the whole project and say, okay, well, in order to be able to do that, we have to have our final drawings by this date. Once we have the final drawings, we get the design process in. When we get everything approved on, floors first, walls, then roof trusses, then we order the materials based off of the final plans. Then we build and we deliver. It's an on-time process, as you know. In this business, you don't deliver the roofs if you don't have any floors or walls. So you deliver, start with the floors, and then the walls, then floors, then walls, then roof.
Mm-hmm.
So we deliver, and then we're there for the technical side more often than not. Hey, I got an issue. Can you check this out? I'm not sure how this goes and that. And that's from our end. That's pretty much where it ends, unless there's service issues later on down the line.
Mhm.
But yeah, so for like a big commercial project, a 6 to 9 month process is pretty much normal. If you're talking for a residential house, you'll call me up and say, "Hey, Bert, I've got a house here that I need you to quote on. When can you build it? When's your next available spot?" Well, typically on a house, you're looking probably at a 2-month process.
Yeah, much different.
Yeah.
When it comes to your wall panel, like your modular walls, just for context, so many different modular offerings and the way people do things. So when it comes to that wall assembly, when it comes to the site, is that just like interior walls that are coming in 10-12 foot sections, framed at the right height so it fits right up tight to the joists? Is it pre-drilled for electrical, plumbing assemblies? Is it pre-drilled for a connection to concrete? That kind of. Can you take us through just what your modular wall panel, typical modular wall panel looks like? What, have a sheeting on the outside if it's for the envelope, that kind of thing?
It depends. We really do that on a custom basis.
Okay, it's all custom then, specific.
All customized. All customized. Like in the States, there is never any insulation in the walls. It's always an open wall panel.
Right.
So you have your OSB, your 2x6 studs, and your blocking and whatnot in the walls. In Canada, we do the insulation. So we'll go from strapping to strapping. We'll do the vapor barriers. We'll do
right.
And we adjust to each, every customer. In the States, tip 10, 12 walls are pretty much the standard, the norm. Here in Canada, we'll do a 40-foot wall if that's
really.
Yeah,
we're more lazy here.
Well, lazier, and the thing is that, like in Canada, there's much more room. Like building, I don't know if you've been seen a build like in Boston or whatever when you go to the Bruins game or a Red Sox. It's nuts, man. They have to shut down the streets. So having a 4-foot wall it just does
Right.
not.
It just doesn't make sense
It
logistically to
does not
deliver
make,
it to the location. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it does not make sense. So yeah, so we adjust as to, as per request, requested by the customers, and that's one of our strengths. Being able to do that customized stuff really opens up a lot of doors to get us our feet in the door and get us some of these jobs.
Who are some of your biggest competitors, Bert? That whether it's big names or corporations that you do compete with in the kind of wholesale or supply of engineered wood. Who are the main competitors for you guys in Central Canada? I mean, I know you're taking a piece of the market south of the border and that kind of thing, but even in Central Canada, maybe clarify who those might be.
Yeah, I mean, it's ironic because there's a lot of manufacturers.
Yeah, a ton of them.
It's not like what we have like in New Brunswick, where in New Brunswick you have like a few, like Atlas, obviously, which is very big.
Yeah.
And like you have a few like medium-sized builders, but in Quebec, just in our area alone, which let's say like 160-kilometer radius, there's probably like 13 manufacturers.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's absolutely nuts, and that doesn't even count the guys in Montreal and surrounding.
So it is, in your opinion, is that a bit saturated in that market but a lot of those are also supplying, south of the border or Western Canada, whatnot.
Yeah, very. It's a very saturated market, contrary to what you see in the States, where there used to be a lot of mom and papa shops, but the big guys ate them up, and now they're consolidating and stuff. So there are some pretty big players, although like that are there, but it's a very saturated market. So there is, I wouldn't say that there's one particular manufacturer. We butt heads against all of them, but they have an association, and like all the owners get together, and so they try to grow the industry. So it's a yeah, we're competitors, but it's a friendly competition. It's not really a dirty business or a price hack. The guys really respect each other. They communicate a lot. Hey, I got this job that I'm quoting. I'm getting feedback. Getting feedback that we're having issues on. You dealt with this guy before. So it's a very, very friendly and very what's the word, clean, I would say, like competition.
Yeah, it's like
it's not
democratic.
Too much.
Yeah. No, it's interesting to see, for people to hear and give context to that, or business owners, like probably, a certain maturity level and understanding of the markets, like, your competitors make you better, and communicate with them if there's enough to go around. A lot of times it does serve you better to have at least an open dialogue with them, and it's like everybody has to be best friends or anything, but just to be able to sit in a room together and kind of steer the ship forward while everybody's getting their piece of the pie. Hopefully some industries you don't see that as much. I mean, in certain trades in bigger cities, highly competitive, quite cutthroat, depending on what trade you're in, if you have a huge labor force or whatever. So you don't always see that happen, right? So
yeah, well, you know what? It's a good point. Ultimately, when you do have more competition, who wins? The customer, because more competition keeps everybody on their toes, keeps the pricing fair, keeps innovation needs to grow, because you always try to get better. I'm a strong proponent. I believe that there should always be a lot of competition. And it's the same thing in music, right? I mean, the more bands are out there on tour,
it's necessary.
Yeah, it's necessary, and that's what drives us,
Yeah, exactly.
So, and ultimately, we're in this business to help people, right? We want to help them with the project. So, the more competition there is, the better it is for our customers, because and the competition, they need to make sure that they're doing good, or they try to do their best all the time. Obviously, it's never perfect. Construction is never perfect. There's always issues.
Yeah.
When I meet new customers, especially on bigger projects, and promoters, sometimes they'll dive into it. This is the first project we're doing, and I tell them, three things that are assured in life: you're born, you're going to die, you're going to pay income tax. That's number two. And if you build, you're going to have some problems.
I like it.
Some problems, man.
Yeah.
So you just got to be, but I'm going to be there to help you find the best solutions to those problems. That's my role. So the more competition there is, everybody tries to do their best. Everybody tries to get a better product to get a better project together. So ultimately the customer wins, and that's what we want.
It's a good point. Anything, Bert, that you want to bring up that we haven't touched on behalf of yourself or Clyvanor, just as far as our listeners and our audience and our metrics and following? Anything you want to shout out to or make people aware of that's happening as far as Clyvanor is concerned, or just anything we haven't touched on that you were hoping to chat about?
Well, no, Dan, you did a very, very good job. I think we touched pretty much on everything. The one thing that I will say to the audience is that, construction has not really changed over the last century. We still build pretty much the same way we do. Sure, we have pneumatic guns rather than hammers now, but the process is pretty much the same. I think that the next 20, 30 years, we're going to be seeing a lot of innovation that's going to be coming because of the shortage of manpower, labor, because of the different products that are coming out, robots that are coming out, AI, this chat GPT phenomenon that driving even for us as songwriters. I mean, they're writing songs now. Where are we going to be in 20 years? So it's forcing the industries to really scratch their heads and say, where are we going? What are we going to do? So I think that the next 20 years, 30 years in the construction business is going to be quite crazy because of all that. And quite crazy good, because it's going to everybody's going to force themselves to be innovative, to use the new technologies, to create the better projects, like assemble quicker because of the lack of manpower. So I think that it's going to be an interesting, quarter of a century coming up for anybody, that's interested in construction. I'd just say, keep an eye out and keep an eye out for those new technologies, and for the younger guys who are thinking about jumping into the construction industry, either be it in sales or just being a carpenter, or opening up your construction company as well. Just stay out there, go do the technological research and sort of visualize where you can take this, because it's going somewhere. It really is going somewhere.
Thank you so much, Bert. Well said. I don't think I can add to that to make those closing statements any better. Listen, it's been an absolute pleasure talking with you. Got a lot of context on the industry and yourself, and some good insight into business development, and touched on all kinds of things. So just want to thank you for your time. Pleasure meeting and talking with you. Thanks for being on the podcast. We'll look forward to this dropping, and yeah, I mean, rock and roll, man. We'll have to jam sometime if you're in Halifax. We'll stay in touch. We need a good drummer here, so.
Absolutely. Sounds like a plan, man. We'll get together for sure.
Okay, brother. Thank you so much. This episode is brought to you by Cook Insurance, your trusted insurance broker in Atlantic Canada for 50 years. Insurance is complex, and the Cook team focuses on delivering comprehensive solutions for your construction needs, including builder's risk, wrap-up liability, performance bonds, and project-specific construction. A Navicord partner since 2020, Cook is one of the largest construction brokers in Canada and offers national strength with a local touch. Whatever your insurance needs are, Cook has you covered.
The team at Atlantic Construction Podcast have been able to build a strong relationship with the folks over at FCA Surety. FCA Surety is heavily engaged in supporting the Atlantic construction marketplace and helping contractors to build their businesses, and we can't recommend them enough. While FCA has their head office in Ontario, many of the members of their team have lived in Atlantic Canada and worked in the construction community here. This gives them a unique national perspective with a local flavor. Andrew Cartwright leads FCA's national surety operations as Vice President of Surety. Their knowledge of the bonding marketplace and understanding of how insurance companies view your business is unparalleled. In addition, the depth of their team and reach across Canada gives them the ability to draw on numerous experiences to help clients navigate items like subtrade, construction disputes, liens, and supplier risk management. These are the things that separate FCA Surety from the pack. Make sure to give the guys a call over at FCA Surety for all of your bonding and surety needs.